Hey there guys, on this episode of Texas Beer Reviews, we will be looking at 11 Below's Colorblind. This is a Red IPA. 11 Below is out of here, Houston, Texas. On the can, it's described as Colorblind marries deep malt character to juicy hop flavors and aroma to make one badass Red IPA. With heavy-handed hop additions of Mosaic being bolstered by rich caramel malts, we're sure the hopheads out there will see things our way. It actually lists some good stats here on the side of the can as well. It's 6.2% alcohol by volume, 64 IBUs, and the SRM is listed as 20, which means SRM is going to dictate or describe what the color is going to be of the beer, usually on a 0 to 40 scale. So 20 is halfway, 0 being light, pale, 40 being dark, kind of black, So 20 should have a nice, rich, deep amber, red, brown, caramel color like that. And then, of course, 64 IBUs should be decently bitter. Of course, that is all relative, depending on how much sweetness you get from the malts. And then it was canned on June 2nd. So we're still within 2 months here. Pretty interesting can. I've never had any beers from 11 Below, which is kind of, I guess, ashamed of being a local brewery here. A little bit more about the beer. For the malts, they use two-row, Munich, Crystal, and CARAFA. And for the hops, they use Warrior, Centennial, FALCONER'S Light, and Mosaic, which they talked about on the can. It's available year-round. Should be able to find it at most specs or HEBs. And on Beer Advocate, it's listed as having an 87, which is very good, with a 4.03 average out of 5. And on Untapped, it has a 3.75 out of 5 stars, which is pretty solid. So, this will dig into it here and see what I think. Right. So, as you can see, it's got a pretty nice, rich caramel brown amber, deep amber color to it, with a nice, pretty thick, about 3-finger, off-white, slightly off-white head there. It's holding up pretty well, pretty nice and frothy. It's slightly hazy, so I don't think they filtered this. A little bit harder to tell with the darker color, but it's pretty nice. So we'll see what we get here on the aroma. So a lot of rich caramel malt. I get some kind of juicy, citrusy hops there as well. Bit of earthiness to it too as well from the hops. A little bit of pine there as well. But it's got a nice big caramel, toffee type malt character to it. So try out, see how it is, the flavor. Cheers. The hops really come through in the flavor. Big pine, citrus, earthy characteristics. A lot of grapefruit, and you get caramel malt, kind of toffee type flavors in there, but they're not very intense. They're a bit more, I guess, subdued underneath the hops there. The hops are really kind of the forefront of the beer. It's got a pretty strong bitterness. Right at the hits you right at the beginning, midway through the palate, all the way to the finish. I mean, it lingers pretty well too, so it's got a pretty solid bitterness. So you like something with a solid malt backbone, but really focuses on the hops and has a nice strong bitterness to it, I think you'll enjoy this beer. Not a big fan of bitterness. I probably would drink something a little bit lighter there, but it's pretty good. Mouthfeel is medium thin, slightly creamy. It's pretty drinkable. Just even with the the pretty assertive bitterness. The the grapefruit type character that's pretty predominant kind of melds with the caramel there is pretty nice. I really like the head retention on this too. It's sticking around quite well. It's pretty thick and frothy. It's got some decent lacing on it. I mean, not super heavy, but just the retention's really nice on it. But I think it's a pretty solid beer. I'm not as much into the darker malt hoppy beers. I don't usually pick out red IPAs that often, but it's pretty good for what it is, I think. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's solid. I drink it again, and I'd recommend it to, if you like a big hoppy beer, but with a, more of a, I guess, a slightly deeper malt backbone, but for the hops, if you want something where the hops shine more over that malt character, because it's not a huge caramel presence to this. More so on the nose to me, but not as much on the flavor. But with that, that's what I think about 11 Below's Color Vine, and we'll definitely be checking out some more of their beers here pretty soon. So, as usual, think global, drink local, and cheers.